Today on the Ask BP podcast, we're talking about real estate crowdfunding. Should you invest or no?
You're listening to another Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast, where you'll hear short, direct answers to your biggest real estate questions. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the Bigger Pockets forums by using hashtag AskBP. And don't forget to pick up your copy of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing and other great content when you sign up for your free account at biggerpockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? My name is Brandon, and you're listening to the Ask BP podcast. I'm super happy that you're here. Thank you for showing up. Today, we're talking about crowdfunding, real estate crowdfunding. Is it a good idea? The question actually comes from David from Mansfield, Ohio. And David simply asked, should I invest in real estate crowdfunding? So before I actually answer that question, I do want to say a couple quick things. First of all, thank you guys for listening to the Ask BP podcast. It's been a huge success so far. We've had a ton of downloads. We're averaging thousands of downloads per show, which is really, really exciting for a brand new show. We hit I think it was number 4 on all business podcasts in the world during launch week, which was amazing. That's even higher than the regular Bigger Pockets podcast has ever had. So I just want to thank you guys for that. I do want to also ask, if you have not yet left me a rating or review for the show, I would really, really appreciate that. It would really help me out a lot. And just getting the word out there, and that helps us keep our rankings up, consistent ratings and reviews. So if you haven't done that, please take a minute and do that today. And if you have any questions you want me to answer here on the Ask BP podcast, just there's a couple ways you can do that. You can, of course, just go to Facebook and go to the Bigger Pockets wall and just leave a question there on the wall, and just make sure you use hashtag AskBP, or you can go to Twitter and ask it there, or you can send me an email, or you could go to the forums and just write a question in the forums and hit hashtag AskBP. Whatever you got to do, and then I will see them and I will compile them and I will get to them. So with that, let's get to that question. Again, the question was, should I invest in real estate crowdfunding? So for those people who have no idea what crowdfunding is, let me kind of tell you how that works first. So a lot of people know crowdfunding for the topic of like Kickstarter or GoFundMe. Those are generally the more popular crowdfunding platforms, but those are not real estate crowdfunding. That's just where people come together and they fund something. Like, have you guys watched the video on solar freaking roadways? It's like this cool invention where they're gonna make roads like solar panels that both light up and they melt snow and they produce more energy than our world could ever use. And it's a cool idea, right? So they put this on Kickstarter or one of the, Indiegogo or one of those crowdfunding sites to raise money for it, and everyone kind of chips in. So that's what most people think of when they think of the crowd and crowdfunding. That is not what we're talking about today, but it is kind of related. And so in real estate crowdfunding, the same idea is lots of people get together and their goal is to invest in real estate. They're going to fund a real estate together, hence the name crowdfunding. Get it? The crowd is funding it. And so, you got a property that's worth, the purchase price is $100,000. The investor is trying to raise $100,000. Now, the investor could go to a bank, and the bank's going to make him go through all this paperwork and appraisals and, put down a 20% down payment or whatever. Or they might not even be able to get bank financing, or for whatever reason, they don't want to go to the bank. So instead, they use crowdfunding sites and they raise the money internally. So rather than giving to a bank, they let other people raise that money for them, the crowd essentially raise the money. And so you might put in $5,000, the guy next door might put in $5,000, that guy might have put in $500, that person might put in $20,000, and then the people will earn a piece of the pie. Now, there's a lot of crowdfunding sites out there. I mean, a couple that come to mind is like Realty Shares. Is a big one. I see them a lot on Bigger Pockets. Patch of Land is another one. I see them around. But there's a lot. I mean, there's probably 20, crowdfunding companies out there. And so, there's different ways that everyone's structured. Some of them, you are a debt when you're investing with them in a deal. If you're like the investor that's putting in money, some of them you get a piece of the debt. I mean, you're basically part of the loan. You don't actually have a share in the property, which is the equity side. There's debt and equity, right? So the debt is like you have a loan and that's it. So you're going to make 8%, 9%, 10%, whatever, because you have debt in the property. The other side is equity, where you actually get part of the proceeds. So if the property does really well, you make more money. And then there's some of the crowdfunding sites do both. Some do a mixture. Some do kind of weird hybrid versions of that. Everyone's different. So the first thing I will say is, if you're considering investing in crowdfunding, really do your research and your homework and look at what the actual crowdfunding site how they actually operate. What are you actually getting? What are you promised? Are you risking it? You not know what you're going to get at the end? Do you know up front this is exactly what you're going to get? So make sure you understand that as well before you do crowdfunding. But the question is, should you actually do it? And I think this is a little bit more, it's one of those questions that like has that typical answer. There's no right answer, but there could be a right answer for you. So crowdfunding is relatively new. In fact, it's probably, at least in this modern form of using the internet, it's only a few years old. So it's not very tested yet. We're still kind of just feeling our way into the crowdfunding space. And it's exciting because I think it's going to blow up someday. There's a very good chance blow up big, or there's a very good chance it's going to blow up bad. As soon as grandma gets, on the front page of the New York Times for losing her life savings using crowdfunding, a lot of things could change. Yet right now, it seems to be moving towards that. Towards the increasement, if that's a word, I'm going to make that up. Increasement, strategery. We're going to make up that. I mean, that's where we're moving towards, is more crowdfunding. And so, I like the idea of crowdfunding quite a bit. I like the idea of being able to earn 10, 12, 15, 18% on my money while I'm not doing anything physically. I don't have to go swing a hammer. I don't have to complain about tenants. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just get to sit at home and check online my stats and see how I'm doing. It's very similar to stock market investing, right? And they usually not necessarily promise, but they tell you that their returns are somewhere between 8 and 15, 16, 17, 18%, somewhere in that range. Probably the higher, risky ones have a little bit higher interest rate that they're going to promise you. Some have a little lower. So again, it's hard to know exactly whether or not you should or not. I mean, you're not guaranteed to make any money no matter what. You're not guaranteed to do it. It is an investment. It is risky. However, I don't think it's a bad idea to balance your portfolio. If you're going to invest in multiple things, like you got some of your money in real estate, some over here in stocks, why not put some in crowdfunding that's right in the middle? I don't have any problem with that. However, if you do, just make sure that you actually look at the deals yourself as well. I don't like to trust anybody. I have a hard time trusting other people with my money because I don't think anybody cares as much about my money as I care about my money, right? So I would want to look at the deal. I'd want to go to their webinars. They usually have webinars and things like that with crowdfunders, and I'd want to learn all about it and then decide for myself, would I invest in this deal if I were the principal, the guy who's actually buying it? Would I have done this deal? If not, then I probably wouldn't want to pitch my money in on it. I'd also want to know, how secure am I in investing in that? Am I going to lose, am I going to make money before he makes money, the owner, or am I the last to get paid, first to get paid? I want to make sure that I get my money most likely. And then I'd want to know what kind of return that they're expecting. If I'm getting an 8% return, I don't know. I mean, personally, I'd rather invest in my own real estate because I know I can get much higher than that. I know that I can get 15, 20%. But at the same time, I'm not investing a lot of my cash. If I had $500,000 in cash just sitting in a bank account right now and I didn't have any real estate deals to buy, well, shoot, I would take the 10% over just the 1% in the bank. And honestly, I'd rather do that than stick it in the stock market because I understand real estate. I don't understand the stock market very well, right? I understand their thinking and it's like they're my brother or sister because we have the same mind and we understand this stuff and we get excited about real estate. So me and the investor, even though I may never meet them, at least I'm kind of have this camaraderie with them that I know what they're doing. So I would choose probably crowdfunding over stocks, but I would not choose it over doing my own real estate investments. A couple more things. If you are going to go with crowdfunding, I would make sure you get some recommendations from other people who have crowdfunded with them. I would probably be a little bit cautious about crowdfunding with a brand new company. That would just make me nervous. Until it's got a tested history of successful deals, I would be very nervous. So I'd want us to work with an established company, get recommendations, and then monitor the legislation as it changes. Just keep an eye on that. Are things getting better or worse? What kind of returns are you getting? Make sure you track that. Make sure you keep the company that's going to be crowdfunding for you, keep them accountable to what they said. Are they doing what they actually say they're going to do? That way you can at least make sure your money is kept a little bit more safe than if you're just handing it to a stranger hoping that they do a good job. So with that, we're going to get out of here. Today's success quote comes from Florence Nightingale, who said, "I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took any excuses." I never gave or took any excuses. I love that. So with that, let's get out of here. In pursuit of your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, do not just learn. Don't just sit in front of your computer or listen in your car every day to these podcasts. Don't just learn, but take action. And if you want a real tangible way to take action, just go leave me a rating or review in iTunes as soon as you finish listening to this today. So with that, let's get out of here. I'm Brandon with the Ask BP podcast. We'll see you around the site.
You've just heard another episode of the Bigger Pockets Ask BP podcast. Submit your question today on Facebook, Twitter, or the Bigger Pockets forum by using hashtag AskBP. And for more incredible real estate investing tools and education, including a free download of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, head over to biggerpockets.com and sign up for your free account today. We'll see you on the next show.